Kane makes an effort to unite Billy and Sally against Victor. The events that transpired on The Young and the Restless. Holden, Nathan Owens, is trying to be a friend to Kyle, Michael Mealer, and Claire on The Young and the Restless Image, CBS. Billy and Sally showed up at Society for the big launch party for Abbott Communications, only to find Kane there and no one else. There were no decorations, food, or waitstaff. Kane announced that the party had been cancelled. Kane informed Billy and Sally that he sent the servers home. An incredulous Sally wondered how Kane even got their invitation list. Kane asked to be heard out. He claimed that he was looking out for Billy and Sally by cancelling their party. Billy said that Kane chose an odd way to show that. Kane said he still considered Billy his brother. Kane's actions, according to Sally, were not his own. She asked him to tell them what Victor had planned. Kane said there was nothing Billy and Sally could do to stop Victor. Billy asked how that could be the case. Because Kane had sold them all out, Phyllis showed up and said it was possible. Sally told Phyllis that she wasn't invited to the party. Phyllis asked Kane if they should talk in private. Kane said he had nothing to hide. Phyllis introduced the subject of Kane's AI, artificial intelligence, program to take over companies. Kane surmised that Nick had tipped off Phyllis. "You have so underestimated me, Kane," Phyllis snarked. Kane shared that Victor came across his plan. Kane said that Victor came across the information that Colin got the money through ill-gotten means. Kane said the situation with his kids could become worse. Sally inquired about the connection between this and Abbott Communications. Kane said he was in no position to fight Victor alone. In exchange for giving Billy and Sally information that will protect their company, he'll need their help. "Do you know what I'm looking for?" "I want to know how I fit into this plan," Phyllis asked. Kane quipped, "Because everything is about you." Phyllis shot back, "Everything is, in fact, about me at this moment. I've been your strongest supporter, Kane." Kane told Phyllis to relax. Sally wondered why she'd support him. Billy was curious as to Victor's strategy for pursuing him and Abbott Communications. Billy told Phyllis to explain since she's the computer expert. Phyllis shared with Billy and Sally that Kane had created an AI program that could go into another company and do whatever it wanted to do. The business could be doomed if it enters and causes financial havoc. The program disappears after it's done its damage. Kane said if Victor gets a hold of the program, he'll go after his enemies. Kane said it would look like Jack and Billy did the damage. "I can't believe this is possible," Sally stated. She inquired as to why Kane would produce such a thing. "Because it's amazing," Billy suggested. Billy wondered how Victor found out Kane had this powerful software. Kane said Jack was the first target and that Billy is likely the next. He informed Billy and Sally that he did them a favor by cancelling the party. Sally said that if we go along with Kane, what does he want in return? Kane said he needed to keep his hands clean. He'll give Sally, Billy, and Phyllis the program so they can take down Victor themselves. Meanwhile, at the Abbott mansion, Jack left Billy a voice message, wondering why the gala had been called off. Diane and Jack debated back and forth as to why the party was cancelled. Was it Kyle's decision? Or Sally's? Diane said Jack should have been notified as to what was going on. Abby and Jack spoke on a one-way call. She didn't have any additional info. Diane wondered if the party was happening somewhere else. Jack asked Diane if she thought that Billy was lying to him. Diane agreed that Billy wouldn't have moved the party to exclude Jack, but she added that Billy tried to get Jack out before. "You don't really care about my brother, do you?" Jack was amazed. Diane assured her husband that she had no vendetta against Billy. She did point out that Billy and Jack have previously disagreed about this. Jack wondered if Kane had gotten to Billy. Later, Diane noted that social media was having a field day with the cancelled party. Jack's no comment was trending. "This whole thing reeks of Kane or Victor," Jack theorized. Still, Diane thought it might have come from Billy. Diane said she's not trying to think of the worst of his brother. She said that Kane knows Billy is obsessed with Chancellor Industries, and maybe Kane used that. Jack said if Billy wants him out of his business, he's going to have to tell him himself. At Crimson Lights, Kyle flashed back to a conversation with Claire where she shared that she felt she couldn't trust Kyle due to his withholding the truth. Kyle recalled asking Claire how he could make this right, and Claire responding that she needed time and space. Kyle was greeted upon entry by Holden. He curtly inquired if Holden had gotten drunk with Claire. Before he could answer, Kyle demanded that Holden stay away from Claire. Holden turned it around right away. He told Kyle that it was casual drinks and wondered why Kyle was spying on his girlfriend. Holden countered with the news that he doesn't take threats kindly. Kyle said that he and Audra had been together before. Holden told Kyle that he didn't even know him. He added that Claire needed someone to confide in. He was there for her when Cole died and Kyle was off in France. Holden took it down a notch, saying he wasn't trying to undermine Kyle and Claire. He said he asked Audra to back away. "Don't you ever come at me with accusations again," Holden warned Kyle. Kyle simmered down a bit as he started to realize Holden just might not be the enemy. But that quickly changed when he accused Holden of overstepping. Kyle said Audra's interference isn't helping his future with Claire. Holden noted that Audra will back off. Kyle thanked Holden for his sincere efforts, but he said he wasn't imagining Holden being a threat. Then, Claire appeared. She wanted to know what was going on. Holden said Kyle is just looking out for Claire. She wanted to know why Billy had an issue. Holden said he worked for Kane when he was Dumas. Billy pointed out that Holden and Audra have a past and that something happened in Los Angeles that neither of them wanted to talk about. Claire stated that she trusted Holden and that she was aware of that, though she did not specify what it was. "You don't get to choose who I spend my time with," Claire told Kyle. "We don't have a problem with Holden. He's not like Audra." She asked Kyle not to ruin the progress that she had made. Claire said that they don't stand a chance if Kyle tries to control her. Holden left to give Kyle and Claire time alone. Kyle asked Claire if she wanted to see him again. She said no and returned for a brownie, but now she doesn't want to eat. Kyle informed Claire that Abby informed him that she had been drinking at society. Claire said that was her choice, and she added that Holden was not a threat to their relationship. Claire wondered if Kyle thought she shouldn't trust her judgment. Kyle said Audra and Holden are just alike and can't be trusted. Kyle doubted Holden wanted to see them happy. Kyle suggested that Holden wants Claire. Next, Kyle arrived at home and asked Diane and Jack what was going on with Sally and Billy's party. Diane surmised that Kane got to Billy to influence the decision to cancel the party. Kyle felt that there was a reasonable explanation. Jack inquired about his son's situation after recognizing that Kyle was going through a trying time. Kyle stated that he has no idea how to handle relationships. Jack probed, and Kyle revealed that Claire had become pals with Holden. Diane mentioned that Holden and Audra are good friends. Jack asked if Claire thought she was jealous. Kyle said he felt like he was doing the wrong thing. Claire later ran into Holden at the park. She apologized to Holden for Kyle's treatment and that the apology should be coming from Kyle. Claire said he's frustrated with Audra and is taking it out on her. Claire realized Holden had a point about Kyle seeing him the way Claire sees Audra. Claire was incredulous that Holden defended Kyle's behavior. She added that Kyle only has himself to blame. Holden said he was an easy target. Claire hoped that Holden would tell her what went down with Mariah in Los Angeles. He stated that she should not know. It would put her in an awkward position. Holden said it wasn't legal, and if Claire were to learn what went down, she might think differently of him. Claire doubted that. Holden, according to her, was funny, strong, and compassionate. Claire said Holden had moved past whatever it was he'd done. After that, Claire divulged details of her own past, including the incident in which Jordan kidnapped her as a baby and instilled in her a hatred of the Newmans. Claire went on to confess that she helped ruin her grandmother's sobriety, and she almost killed her whole family. Holden was stunned by this. Claire claimed that therapy assisted in her recovery. Holden said they weren't the same. Claire said the past shouldn't be allowed to haunt them. Holden said he liked what Claire had to say and that he liked her a lot. Kane Ashby's return to the Genoa City canvas is anything but quiet, and his latest maneuver is one that leaves everyone unsettled. When Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra arrive at Society expecting a dazzling launch party for Abbott Communications, the last thing they imagine is walking into an empty room. No waitstaff, no decorations, no buzzing chatter of invited guests. Instead, they find Kane standing at the center of the deserted venue like a man who has been waiting all night to spring a revelation. Sally, who was quick to notice every detail, immediately wonders how Kane got onto the guest list, but her suspicion isn't as strong as her total disbelief. Kane calmly informs the pair that the party has been cancelled. He sent the servers home and took it upon himself to shut the whole thing down. Sally's fiery temper ignites as she demands to know who gave him that authority, while Billy glares at Kane, already preparing for another round in their decades-long rivalry. But Kane, wearing the practiced mask of someone who believes he has all the answers, asks them to hear him out. He insists this wasn't sabotage, nor was it a petty grudge, it was protection. Kane claims Victor Newman is moving against Abbott Communications, and unless Billy and Sally want their hard work and reputations to go up in flames, they need to listen. At first, Billy and Sally dismiss him outright. Billy sees it as just another manipulative ploy from a man who has burned them both before, and Sally, still determined to stand tall in the male-dominated power structure of Genoa City business, accuses Kane of trying to assert control over company that isn't his. But Kane's words carry a weight that unsettles them. He looks Billy square in the eye and says he still considers him a brother, despite everything. That alone throws Billy for a loop, because their fractured relationship has rarely included words of kinship. Sally, skeptical but curious, pushes Kane to admit who's really pulling his strings. If he's here to cancel parties and sow chaos, surely it isn't just him. Kane hesitates but finally admits that Victor Newman has his fingerprints all over this. Sally's eyes widen as she connects the dots. Victor has always had a way of sniffing out weaknesses, and Kane might just be the crack in the wall he's using to get to Abbott Communications. It's at that moment Phyllis Summers bursts into society, strutting into the empty room like she owns it. Her presence immediately shifts the tension. Sally bristles, reminding her that she wasn't invited to the party, while Billy raises his eyebrows, trying to gauge why Phyllis would insert herself into this debacle. Phyllis makes it clear she knows exactly what's going on. She asks Kane if they should talk in private, but he says he doesn't want to because he doesn't have anything to hide. With relish, Phyllis lays the truth bare. Kane has developed an artificial intelligence program so powerful that it can infiltrate any company's system, wreak havoc on finances, and vanish without a trace. It's essentially a weapon disguised as software, and in the wrong hands, it could destroy entire empires. Phyllis taunts Kane with her signature bite, telling him he has underestimated her once again. Kane finally admits that Victor stumbled onto his program, realized its potential, and now intends to use it against his enemies. If Victor succeeds, Abbott Communications could be one of the first casualties. Sally is appalled. Her entrepreneurial instincts tell her this kind of power shouldn't even exist, let alone be left in Victor Newman's hands. On the other hand, Billy uses sarcasm to try to hide his fear by saying that Kane probably made the program because he thought it was amazing. But beneath the sarcasm, Billy knows the stakes are serious. He demands to know how Victor got his hands on the information, and Kane reluctantly admits that Jack Abbott was Victor's first target, making Billy next on the list. Kane says cancelling the launch party was his way of sparing them the humiliation of being blindsided in public when Victor inevitably struck. Sally asks the most logical question: what does Kane want in return for this sudden burst of loyalty? Kane doesn't hesitate, he wants to keep his hands clean. He'll give Billy, Sally, and even Phyllis access to the program itself, but they'll have to be the ones to use it against Victor. Everyone is shaken by the revelation. Phyllis, always the opportunist, immediately starts calculating the possibilities, trying to figure out where she fits into this dangerous game. Everything is about me, she declares in her biting way, reminding Kane that she has supported him when others turned their backs. But Kane brushes her off, saying she needs to relax. To him, Phyllis is a distraction. Sally, meanwhile, feels trapped between two conflicting realities. On one hand, aligning with Kane feels like making a deal with the devil. On the other, ignoring his warning could mean the destruction of everything she and Billy have worked for. Billy is conflicted. He hates the idea of owing Kane anything, let alone trusting him. But Victor Newman as an enemy has always been Billy's nightmare scenario, and now the stakes involve more than just business, they involve reputation, legacy, and survival. Across town, Jack Abbott is left in the dark about why the gala has been cancelled. At the Abbott mansion, he vents his frustration to Diane, who speculates endlessly about whether Billy or Sally made the call. Jack is furious that no one looped him in, especially since the event was meant to showcase Abbott Communications' strength. Diane tries to reassure him, but she raises a dangerous possibility. Maybe Billy wanted Jack excluded. Even though Jack doesn't want to, the thought keeps pulling at him. He wonders aloud if Kane has managed to worm his way back into Billy's life, planting doubts and sowing chaos. Diane, never one to shy away from sharp observations, points out that social media is already buzzing with speculation, and Jack's no comment to reporters is trending online. The optics are disastrous. Still, Jack insists he won't jump to conclusions until he hears directly from Billy. Meanwhile, at Crimson Lights, another subplot unfolds. Kyle, nursing both romantic frustration and family tension, runs into Holden, who has been quietly orbiting Claire's world as a confidant and protector. Their conversation starts as a clash. Kyle accuses Holden of interfering, of overstepping, and of potentially threatening his fragile relationship with Claire. Holden pushes back, accusing Kyle of spying and being insecure. But as the argument progresses, a surprising truth emerges. Holden isn't trying to undermine Kyle, but rather to give Claire the support she needs in her grief and recovery after losing Cole. The tension between the two men is palpable, but Holden's calm, level-headed approach forces Kyle to consider whether his jealousy is clouding his judgment. Claire enters the scene just in time to defuse the situation, but instead of siding with Kyle, she asserts her independence, telling him he doesn't get to dictate who she spends her time with. Her words cut Kyle deeply, leaving him questioning not only his relationship with Claire but also his ability to navigate trust in general. Back at the heart of the storm, Kane continues his pitch to Billy, Sally, and Phyllis. He insists that Victor will stop at nothing to weaponize the AI program and destroy the Abbott's reputation. It could result in the demise of both Abbott Communications and possibly Jabot as well if Jack, Billy, or even Sally are held accountable for financial sabotage. Sally asks the question hanging in the air. Why should any of them trust Kane? After all, Kane has a history of deception, shady deals, and self-preservation. Kane's answer is blunt, because they don't have a choice. Victor is too powerful to take on alone, and Kane needs allies who are equally invested in keeping him from gaining more power. Despite the fact that the insecure alliance is beginning to take shape, it is abundantly clear that no one else has complete faith in them. Sally wonders if Kane is manipulating them, Phyllis is already angling for a position of control, and Billy knows Jack will see any partnership with Kane as a betrayal. Ironically, Kane is trying to stop division within the Abbott family, which is already starting to take root. Even though Kane tries to justify his actions by claiming that he is loyal to Billy, the consequences will almost certainly widen the gap between Billy and Jack, giving Victor exactly the kind of leverage he needs. As the night drags on, the tension builds to a fever pitch. Kane hands over evidence of Victor's plan, but he warns them that time is running out. The program is too powerful, too tempting for Victor to ignore. If they don't act soon, it won't matter what Abbott Communications does to protect itself, the war will already be lost. Phyllis, with a smirk, says she knows just how to use the software to turn the tables on Victor, but both Billy and Sally shoot her a look of suspicion. Trusting Phyllis with something this dangerous feels like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. Nevertheless, they are all aware of the brutal fact that, in order to withstand Victor's assault, they will require every weapon in their arsenal. The episode closes with multiple cliffhangers set into motion. Jack, still unaware of Kane's role, vows to get answers from Billy. Diane warns him that this feels like the beginning of another Abbott family implosion. Kyle admits to Jack that he feels like he is losing control of everything as he struggles with Claire and Holden. And at Society, Kane walks out into the night, leaving Billy, Sally, and Phyllis staring at one another, each of them silently wondering if they just made a deal that will save them or doom them all.